Hi, I'm Brittany Overton. I'm the director at the Minot-Sleeper Library, and I'm also vice chair of Bristol's new Sustainability Committee. This is the third installment of Locally Produced, which is a series of educational videos for our community to start thinking about how we can live a little bit more sustainably. Today we're talking about how we can shop for food, prepare our food, discard and store our food in ways that reduce waste. Last year, the EPA estimated that more than 1/5 of our nation's waste is actually discarded food. That's more than any other single item that goes into our landfills or incinerators. So that's a huge amount of waste that we are creating. Today, we'll talk a little bit about how we can divert some of that food waste from our landfills and incinerators, but also talk about the packaging that the food comes in, because certainly that contributes to the amount of waste as well. So the first thing that we can think about is the process of shopping for our food. I think we all know that when we go into a grocery store, one of the first things we typically see is the produce section, our fruits and vegetables, herbs, those types of items. The packaging in this area, you'll find a lot of it is unnecessary. And so packaging is one of the first things we can think about when it comes to reducing our waste. One example of unnecessary packaging are the plastic bags on a roll that you can find in the store to put different products into. And these really are not needed. So unless you're buying green beans, which those, yes, may fall through your cart, other things like tomatoes and carrots and potatoes, those things really don't need to be put into a bag. You'll also find in the produce section that oftentimes those same types of items will come prepackaged in a bag. A lot of times they are plastic, and sometimes they're netting. Sometimes onions and, say, oranges will come in a netting bag. And that packaging also is not necessary. So in our household, for carrots, we buy loose carrots, and that reduces the plastic packaging that it would normally otherwise come in. Onions, it's great to buy them in bulk, which typically the bags provide, but you can hand pick out just as many onions individually and toss those right into your cart. Related to bulk, once you get out of the produce section, is things like rice, dry beans, other dry ingredients that you can buy in bulk. Buying in bulk is a great way to reduce the packaging waste, but I know sometimes when you get home, those large containers, for example, rice, if you buy a huge bag of rice, they can be hard to manage when you go to use them. So pouring out just 1 cup of rice from a plastic bag that's this tall can be tricky. So what we do in our household is we use glass containers. You really could use any type of container, but we use glass, which looks pretty nice in the pantry or on the counter. We put our dry ingredients in here, and it's much easier to pour out, say, a cup than using a huge plastic bag. Beyond the dry ingredients, another option for reducing waste when it comes to products you buy, if you buy dairy items, we do have some options in the local area where you can buy milk, yogurt, and those types of items in reusable containers. So Huckins Farm, which is in New Hampton, sells milk. This is yogurt. They also sell milk. Raw, it is unpasteurized, and once you have used all the food item in it, you can return the glass jars to Huckins Farms, and they sterilize and reuse them. When you're back home and you're ready to prepare food, first, before thinking of the meals that we cook for, say, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, one thing to consider is the beverages that we're drinking. And I think one of the main things that we think about when we think about reducing our food, beverage consumption is using a water bottle. And that's great. That is a fantastic way. You can buy ones that are plastic, but that also come in stainless steel and different materials that can be reused. Another, something that's also become a little bit trendy in recent years that is very reusable for a lot of different things is a glass mason jar. So you can put water right into this. Reimagined in downtown Bristol sells these, which are caps that fit perfectly onto a mason jar, and a straw, a reusable straw. So if you're someone who prefers to use a straw when you're drinking a beverage, this is a great option. This cap also has a stopper so that if you're not using the straw and you have a glass of water and you want to be able to throw this, say, in the back seat of your car while you're traveling, or in a purse, it's not going to leak. So that's a really great reusable option and something that you can buy locally. Also related to beverages, tea and coffee. So tea bags are fairly small. It seems like there probably isn't a lot of waste that comes along with them, but they can add up. And most tea bags are not compostable. So if you're someone who is composting, really check and make sure that it does state on the packaging that you can compost them. Otherwise, there is plastic in it. An option for not using tea bags is to buy reusable tea bags, which can be these little cloth bags. You put loose leaf tea in here. You can also buy a metal container, something like this. I was using this earlier today, so you can see the tea that's in there. It seems a little bit intimidating at first to make your own tea with loose leaf tea, but I will tell you it is very easy. And you can buy the loose leaf tea locally. You can buy it at APU Mountain Spirits in downtown Bristol. You can also buy it through Cardigan Mountain. They make their own loose leaf tea. And both have delicious teas. So how much do you use? How do you make it? It depends. So for me, I typically use this container, and what I do is I take a large pinch of the loose leaves, put it in. I take this, I put it in an empty mug, and then I pour my hot water over it, let it sit for maybe 60 seconds. You also can add a little bit more, sprinkle some fresh leaves on top, and pour more water in so you're not going through a lot of the loose leaf tea. So that's a great option. I've also found for cold brew coffee, a little bit untraditional, but you can put coffee grounds in one of these bags and put it in something like a glass mason jar. Let it sit in there overnight, usually I would say between 12 and 24 hours. And then when you're ready to drink it, it's cold coffee and it's delicious. I've used it for camping, so I didn't have to get out all my camping gear and make hot coffee in the morning, although hot coffee is usually preferable. So those are a few ways that we can think about preparing our beverages, preparing our food in ways that reduce waste a little bit. So after you've sat down and had a meal, what do you do with the food scraps? What do you do with the leftover food items? Well, there's a couple different things. There's lots of things you can do. One of the main things you can do is compost at home. If you're able to do it, you have the time and the energy, excuse me, and the willingness, composting is a great option. And we do have some resources on the Sustainability Committee's website, on the Town of Bristol's website, townofbristolnh.org, that will help you get started with composting. If you don't compost, there are other options on how to use up some of your leftover items. One trick that I will share with you that I just learned to do this maybe a year ago, and it's one of my favorite ways to reduce waste, and it's a small one but it's fun, is for scallions. This one's a little bit smaller. After you've cut it down and you've used most of what you would in your dish, you take the white part with the roots left on it and just put it in a little glass of water. We put this at our house on the windowsill right above the sink. And within just a few days, this is all new growth. And it will continue to grow. It's delicious. It tastes just like if you bought it from the store. So it's fun to watch it grow, and it reuses those little stems as well. And it saves you money. You're not buying more scallions every time you need to. There are lots of other really great ways to prepare foods, the types of foods you eat, have them be a little bit more sustainable. And so rather than me telling you every single one of those today, I'm going to give you some resources on how to find some recipes, how to know what is more sustainable and earth-friendly. So a few websites, we'll start with the websites. One of them is lovefoodhatewaste.com. And this website comes from the UK, and it aims to show viewers how to not waste so much food, but also at the same time save money. So there's some great recipes on there. You can enter the ingredients you have left over, and it will provide some some recipes for you to check out to use up those leftover food items. Another great website is seafoodwatch.org, and this is produced by the Monterey Bay Aquarium in California. And on there, there's lots of information about sustainable purchasing of seafood for both individuals and businesses. Also, seasonalfoodguide.org is a great website for people who recognize that buying produce that is in season in their area is a more sustainable choice. So yes, while we in New Hampshire would love to eat strawberries and blueberries year-round, eating foods that are in season for our area is really a better choice when it comes to being environmentally friendly. Of course, we don't have to stick to that 100%, but for those who are looking for those foods, this is a great website. Also at the library, we have some great books that will help you find some recipes that are a little bit more earth-friendly, and I'll show you two of those today. One of my favorites, it's actually one of my favorite cookbooks that we have at the library, and it also happens to be it's focused on being earth-friendly, and that is Mostly Plants. And this is by the Pollan family, so some of you may be familiar with Michael Pollan and his books. He wrote The Botany of Desire, In Defense of Food. And this is a great book because most of the recipes are mostly plants, but it's not entirely vegetarian. It recognizes that not everyone is going to be vegetarian or even vegan. We're going to eat meat, and that's okay. But to have our plates be mostly plants is really better for the environment. And there's, like I said, some great recipes in here. One of my favorites is a patty type of food that has spinach and some other really delicious vegetables made into it. And we love it so much in our family that our 3-year-old actually calls them delicioso patties. Another great book that we have at the library is Eat for the Planet Cookbook. So this really kind of says it all, that the recipes in here are aimed to be healthy not only for you and your body, but also for the environment. So those are some great resources as well. For those of you who are watching this in November, I hope you will consider joining both the library and the Sustainability Committee on Monday, November 30th at 6:30 p.m. on the computer or on the phone. We'll be having a conversation about eating environmentally friendly, earth-friendly. And so call the library, let us know. You can email librarian@townofbristolnh.org. And let us know you'd like to join, and we're happy to send you the Zoom link or a phone number where you can call in and take part in the conversation. So thank you so much for listening in today, and best of luck to all of you in thinking about the food choices you're making, the types of packaging, and hunting for those plastic-free, packaged-free foods in the grocery store. Thank you.